I challenge anyone to have an app with one picture, take 10, 15 cards at a time, and then 10 seconds later, it's on your CRM. Nobody's doing that today. You can snap one picture of as many you can fit in your phone, and then we just push those directly. You'll have them in Rel8, and then with one push of button, you can sync them to your CRM. We will crop them, organize them, we will tag each one of them, we will research each contact of that business card stack, and then we will suggest to you a follow-up sequence for them. We don't stop at the contact ingestion, but we also give the user the ability to be top of mind with their users.
Rel8 AI is a relationship intelligence platform that transforms how professionals capture, remember, and nurture their network. Rel8 is your AI sidekick for relationships. It scans cards, ingests inboxes, and syncs calendars. Rel8 auto-writes follow-ups, surfaces context, and updates your CRM so you can focus and stay human while the busy work runs itself. Abdel Filali is a Dallas-based technology entrepreneur and executive, best known as the founder of Rel8 AI Technology. His career blends executive management, large-scale delivery, and AI strategy within complex enterprise environments.
You're approaching the topic from both the strategic level, the operational level, the technology level, the societal level, and you're bringing your guests are multicultural, multi-dimensional, diverse guests, which to me, that's the sort of content I like to enjoy. If you miss that 48-hour window to follow up with somebody, it's really hard for them.
All right, everybody, welcome to the AI Space Podcast. AI isn't just a future, it's a force rewriting the rules of business, wealth creation, and society. If you're a founder, innovator, or technologist, this is the AI show for you. The question you have to ask yourself is, will I blaze a path, follow the crowd, or be left in the dust? This is season 2, the 11th episode, and we're thrilled to have Abdel Filali, founder and CEO of Rel8 AI. I'm Sanjay Kalluvilayil, creator and host of the AI Space Podcast, founder and CEO of Stonehouse Advisors, your trusted advisor for AI founders and businesses focused on go-to-market strategy and execution. Abdel, first of all, welcome, but on the AI Space Podcast, we jump right in to highlight game-changing insights that help founders drive innovation and scale business initiatives. Once again, welcome. What do you see as the key trends in AI going to 2026?
Well, first of all, Sanjay, I'm a big fan of your podcast. I like just to see the diversity of not only the speakers that you bring, but also the topics that you tackle. So very, very humbled and grateful for the invitation. Thank you for that. Listen, in terms of trends, this field is moving really fast. Like we've been all remembering the ChatGPT moment, and things have been just moving faster than we can keep up with. But you know what? When you start getting close to it, you start finding some patterns. And I can tell you what I'm seeing for 2026 is people are going to get out of the chat interface. That's trend number one. Chatbots are really good. They're very helpful, but they are this open canvas and a very general helper and assistant that is not necessarily helpful or in specific areas. So you will see a lot of verticalized and specialized AIs coming out next year or this year. And with that, it will move from being an information helper with information and knowledge to action. So we were expecting 2025 to be the year of agents, but it's really towards the end of 2025 when we started seeing Cloud Code or some of the most advanced agents out there, where you can give you a glimpse on how 2026 will look like. So 2026 will be more about how can I use the AI to do the work for me, more than how can I use AI to find an information or have a thought body to kind of work with. The other thing I see is the advancement in robotics and physical AI. This is going to be huge. You will see 2026 is where we're going to go out from the labs. We're going to go out from the industrial space to more of the consumer robotics and word models powering that and technology that enables us as consumers to do more with the help of robots. And don't think about humanoid robots. There will be all kinds of robots, starting from your vacuum cleaner to your cooker in the kitchens and whatnot. So I see physical AI getting a lot of hype for a reason, because it's where all these intellectual software AI meeting the physical world. The other thing I want to add is the business models. We see all these AI labs like OpenAI, Anthropics, and Gemini. We see that they're taking different directions. OpenAI is pursuing the ads now for like their chatbot for ChatGPT. Claude is becoming the developer and the agentic firm, like with their models. So we see all these being specialized, which is really really fun to see in terms of competitive advantages and specializations they have next year. So this is going to change next month probably, but this is what if I were a betting man, I'll put my money in these.
Oh, yeah, no, those are very important trends. We'll dive deeper. If you look back upon 2025, maybe what's the most surprising takeaway for you? Maybe positive or negative that you're like, hey, wow, I didn't see that coming, or I need to pivot in 2026, or you're going to take into 2026. What would be that one thing?
Yeah, I think for me, if I were to sum up 2025, I would say towards the back half of it, where our team started getting exposed to agentic AI. Like our team getting exposed to Claude Code very, very specifically, and just seeing a glimpse of how a agentic future, which means how you can get work done at a production level with an AI. Because like we were all trying AI tools before in early 2025. Yeah, it was good, like giving us some of the output that we were looking for, but it took a lot of back and forth, a lot of hallucination, a lot of rabbit holes. But what we found, like again in the back half of 2025, is really the technology is maturing and really specializing in some areas where you can really get output, real output that you get from humans, workers, you can now get it from AI, which was a big surprise for us, and we decided to double down on it.
Okay, wow, that's great. That kind of, then I guess this kind of tied into the next question, really. What do you see as the top AI strategies to grow and scale a business?
Yeah, I mean, to me, and how we think about it in Rel8 Tech, and specifically for our product, Rel8, the AI, we see a lot of these companies, the big established one, use AI as a bolt-on strategy where they have already an established product, they already have an established user base, and they will add a chatbot or an AI capability, slap it on top of their product, and they will call themselves We Are AI. I don't think that our consumers, our users are going to buy in that. So for us, we believe we are an AI native company. What does that mean, AI native? We not only have an AI product that our users can use on a natural language basis and so forth, but we also build it with AI. So we are AI on the input and AI on the output, which will make our differentiation because we can operate with a lean team. We use AI for both our product development strategy and our go-to-market strategy. So we tackle both the product and the market side. And then our consumer, we give them a 10x return on what they get on some of the established products. So to me, in order to scale and be competitive, it's really looking at your input cost and like how you can operate as lean as possible, and your value proposition to your users, how you can be very differentiated in the crowded market. So I think differentiation will continue to be the name of the game for 2026. And scale is going to be with the feedback loops and the word of mouth loops and all the social media and the channels that we've been using. It's just going to be for us to continue to leverage those going forward.
No, that's great. All right, well, no, thanks for kicking off the episode. Let's take a step back. Once again, welcome for our audience that's joining us. I definitely want to tell you a little bit more about Rel8 AI. Rel8 AI is a relationship intelligence platform that transforms how professionals capture, remember, and nurture their network. Rel8 is your AI sidekick for relationships. It scans cards, ingests inboxes, and syncs calendars. Rel8 auto-writes follow-ups, surfaces context, and updates your CRM so you can focus and stay human while the busy work runs itself. Abdel Filali is a Dallas-based technology entrepreneur and executive, best known as the founder of Rel8 AI Technology. He has held executive leadership roles in enterprise technology, including director of pre-sales at Worldwide Technology, WWT, and TBX. He's led teams across networking infrastructure, and advanced technology initiatives. His career blends executive management, large-scale delivery, and AI strategy within complex enterprise environments. Abdel, welcome, my friend. I'm excited to have you on here. Tell the audience a little bit more before we get into your current company and role. A little bit about your background and what led you to this foray into AI, your path to AI.
Yeah, well, thanks, Sanjay. This has been blessed with a great career. I've always find myself tinkering around technology. So I'm a technologist and an engineer by trade. Worked in different positions and in different companies, but I've always found myself in the intersection between leadership, technology, and go-to-market. So this is really working for Fortune 500 companies in different continents. I actually worked in 3 continents before settling here in Dallas, Texas, and really solving all kind of problems. So I did work in Africa. I'm originally from Morocco. Worked in did my school there, my undergrad. Worked in Casablanca, and then I worked in Europe. I actually worked in Stockholm, Sweden, and then I moved to the US after that. So I worked a little bit in New Jersey and then moved down to Dallas, where it's the weather is almost like what we have in Morocco. So I'm enjoying it without my family.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So Morocco, Marrakesh, right?
Oh
And
my
then you were
God. Oh, this is a party town. It's the
yeah.
Vegas of Africa
One day
for sure.
I need to get there and Casablanca. So that's cool because we had an episode earlier with someone from South Africa and so now someone with North African origin, and I'm sure you're not. But then there's also different context, right? Your cultural background and stuff like that too. So then you were in Stockholm. So that means I know you worked at Ericsson. It looks like we were at Ericsson at similar times, but we never met at Ericsson. That's a funny part of it, right?
I know. We were talking about it the other day. Like we probably know a lot of the same people and shared some of the same experiences as Ericsson. But hey, it's really working for a Swedish company. The most impactful thing for me was the Friday afternoons where we had what the Swedes call the fika, which is a almost like an early happy hour that you'll have on a Friday, and you just hang out with the colleagues and then talk about the week, and it was really nice. So I also enjoyed being on the saunas. That was interesting, but you know what? Working at a multinational gets you to meet a lot of different people from different backgrounds. Like I told you earlier, that's the reason I enjoy your show, because you really bring in people from different cultures and different backgrounds, which is great.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later, but yeah, I've been to Stockholm quite a few times. It's probably, I've traveled to Europe, but it's because of work, and so I've been there quite a few times. So, what did you do at Ericsson, and then ended up at WWT? Maybe you can talk a little bit about that transition.
Yeah, I mean, Ericsson was like my almost my first job out of school. So as you can imagine, worked my way through the ranks and started with some engineering roles. Then started evolving to more towards like architecture, team leadership, and then I ended up in sales. So I was on technical pre-sales. So if the folks in your show, I'm not familiar with that. A big part of my background is leading technical sales teams, and these are what is referred to as, you hear words like a sales engineers, solutions architect. The fancy word for that right now is the FDE, or the forward deployed engineer. These are folks that work hand in hand with the traditional sales, and they go to a client and make sure they understand the client's need, they understand the client's requirements, the client situation and network, and then they propose the solution for the whatever the clients wants to do. So I continued on that path after Ericsson. So I was hired by WWT to lead.
Let me inject right there for those that are not familiar with Ericsson, right? So when you use your mobile phone, right? You think of your provider like AT&T or Verizon, or if you're international, Vodafone or Reliance or wherever you're based. But under those networks are companies like Ericsson who provide the mobile networks, so the 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G networks, right? And when they were launching these technologies, I actually started on the consulting side, more strategy consulting, but also you were technical pre-sales, actually more on the business pre-sales. Like,
Right.
okay, you got the technology. How do you actually grow the market, right?
Right.
How do you get market share? What's a business case? What other service you're going to launch to load the network, right? So, to give some folks some context. So
Yeah.
now you've transitioned, and then what are you doing when you went to WWT?
It was almost a continuation of leading technical sales teams, and but my foray on WWT was going beyond the technology of the cellular or service provider network, but also discovering the whole gamut of IT. So we sold enterprise IT to all the service providers. So my clients were like the AT&Ts, the T-Mobiles, and then the Verizon of the world. I covered North America, both the US and Canada, and was traveling to meet with clients and so forth. I had a team of engineers that were supporting me. And before I left, we were responsible for a quota of almost like $100 million a year for in my area. Like me and my sales partner were leading the team for a big territory of service providers. And as part of that, like when I was there, you asked how I got into AI. While I was doing enterprise like roles, we were building big data centers for hyperscalers like the Amazons and so forth. And even the service providers, they build a lot of data centers. We installed a lot of like GPU farms and so forth for them. So like I got to the AI from the hardware data center space. That's initially how I got introduced to it. And essentially, after the ChatGPT moment, that's where I started going up the stack and seeing what's happening on the application level and platform level.
Were you not only doing data centers, were you doing a little bit of NOC, network operation centers too, and that's kind of like your transition?
We have a team, yeah, we had a team that did that. So as part of the service offerings that we had something called the managed service. So when we went and deployed like a big data center, racks and racks of technology, then we offer to our clients the ability to like stay and monitor the network, be the hands on deck if they need us to, and so forth. So yeah, like I had like a professional service team that took care of that for us.
Yeah, no, that's great. You remind me now from my Ericsson experience. So, like, I got to travel the world in a sense. And it was short stints, but I got to go to Tokyo, Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, Chile, Trinidad and Tobago, of all places. I could see Venezuela across the ocean. That's a whole different story right
Oh,
now.
I can tell you all where I was shipped, and then the nights I spent in data
Yeah,
centers
yeah.
with like an AC, like I don't know, a 30-degree AC, and then so many loud noises. So we had some fun nights as being part of the teams that went and traveled as well. So
Yeah, and I actually got certified as principal consultant by Business Unit Global Service, so Bugs, if you remember that. So, but so now you made that transition. Your transition to AI was really through the NOCs, the data centers, etc., coming from that telco background, right? And the good thing that you probably understand telco grade, industrial grade. It's not just flimsy stuff, right? So, but what tell me about your current. You have a main business, and then you have Rel8 AI. So tell us a little bit more about that.
yeah, correct. So like when I left WWT, and then I had something in the works before that. We had projects that deliver IT outcomes, right? So this is my background, enterprise IT, and we started doing projects for like banks and retails and then small like doctor offices and things like that. I don't have like we can talk about go to market on that, but I always go through partners. So we have partners who have big contracts with big companies. Think of like some of the biggest logos that you know, and we are a subcontractor to them. So we provide expertise, we provide staffing, professional services, and we work on a very, very lean team on the IT side as well. We have an offshore model where we have some of our team members delivering some of those outcomes offshore. And this is where like the main business is going. The main business, which is Rel8 Technology, is really enabling like some of our partners to augment with some niche expertise. So think about like some of the cloud expertise, cybersecurity expertise, AI expertise from a hardware standpoint. That's where we augment those teams for our partners, and we help them deliver on some of the biggest projects that they have. So that's the main company. And then when we start working on that, and we got to a certain like steady state with it, we couldn't ignore the AI impact and just the innovation and all the I would say the systemic like shifts that are happening at the application level. And we can talk a little bit about that. But we decided to essentially incubate a startup within the company. So I didn't want to go out. I'm sorry. I didn't want to go out and then just have like a new entity. So we decided that we will direct some of our revenue and our kind of like margins into building a startup in house and get into a software, which is a space that was foreign to us. We did not know, like we didn't have at that point any software expertise or engineer. And then we started down that path.
So when you started Rel8 AI, what made you realize you need to build it and that, the world's ready for it?
Well, listen, it started with us, like I said, trying to really, really deep down understand what's hype, what's reality on this whole AI journey. So we started early, towards doing the end of 2024. We started exploring the technology, and and then when you want to start exploring something, especially if you have already an operation that's running, it's really hard to find the time, find the resources, and so forth. So I remember with my co-founder, I we sat down and we were like, okay, the only if we want to take advantage of this technology, and we really believe that this is going to be a game-changing technology, we've got to get our hands on it. Like I've only learned in my career that when you can talk about something as much as you want, but if you haven't tried it, used it yourself, then you're always going to have second degree information. So we wanted that first degree information, and we wanted to play with it. So we start with that. The other piece was, okay, well, what problems did we have at that time, and what can we apply this new tool, these problems we had? And yes, because Rely technology was still new at that time, so we needed to find like clients and network a lot. We needed to grow our pipeline. So we found ourselves in this situation where we complain about like spending a lot of time networking, going to events, meeting a lot of people, and we are not able to take advantage or like have a good return on that time spent and effort spent. So we were like, okay, well, this is a pain. We did not jump into it like heads on. We Before we started anything, we were going out and validating the problem, talking to some of the CEOs and the entrepreneurs in the areas, and we realized that this is a problem that is not solved, which was came to my surprise. We haven't solved a problem where you can translate the chaos and the all the problems and stuff that's happening in the real world interaction, and you can translate it into a organization of a CRM. So there was a gap there in the marketplace, and then we decided, okay, well, this is a good place for us to apply AI to solve this problem.
Yeah, no, I think that there's also some important insights in there because, obviously you got to understand your bottlenecks in your business, your pain points, other types of things. So people tried, some folks try to do AI for AI's sake, get the splash.
Yeah.
Then others, okay, will apply to some bottlenecks or get some efficiencies, etc. But you actually said, hey, we do have some things we need to solve with AI. But instead of doing instead of just using it internally in a sense within the company, because it's probably it's a different competence, it's a different skill set, is require a different P&L in a sense, right? So I think you're actually the first guest that we have that's actually taken that and incubated it inside the company, right? And others will go start a company, a whole separate entity, etc. Or others will just do like start another department and okay, we're going to do some AI, or they may integrate it with some tools. But you've actually kind of split it out, which is a good idea because the revenues are different, the target segments are going to be different. Your ICP, the way your business model is probably way different than your major business, right? So maybe we can get into that. Maybe you can talk about that. Your role, your mandate. What are your then? How are you going to use this in terms of your ICP target segments, use cases, right?
Yeah, and then I'm gonna tell you the reason we did that is twofold. Like one, we wanted to like leverage some of the shared systems that we already have between the two entities. So not only the resourcing, but also like some of the platforms, some of the technology that supports both businesses. So we believe that that's a advantage of doing that instead of just going and creating a different entity. I'm not sure if it's going to stay that way for long, but this was certainly one of the advantages.
Well, that's actually a very important insight. And hopefully that's why we had this podcast too, is that to bring up stuff like this where, people don't think about, okay, there are costs like support costs, OpEx costs. And then if you put it as a separate entity, right, then you have to go figure all that stuff out. But since you have a shared service or corporate level, there's usually a corporate level above all the departments where people all just make it up in, HR, legal, IT, all that kind of stuff. Now you're able to hook into that and have a leaner cost structure to be able to jumpstart, accelerate this new entity, right?
Spot on. That's exactly why we did it that way. The second thing is from a funding perspective. Like we did not want to go out and start raising funds for it. So like I said, we're directing some of the margin from the main business to this, and then it's been like we don't need to deal with cap tables at this point because we are still in the PMF phase for that startup. So that's like you want some level of separation, but you don't want too much level of separation. Again, if this is something that will work for you, it doesn't work for all situations. But for me, if somebody wants to bootstrap and then again or share some of the common platforms, that's also that's a good strategy to follow. But I mean, to your point, it creates again for me some of the really wearing different hats because one business, the main business is a B2B business, like it's mainly selling to partner like VARs, like value added resellers, and some of the managed service providers out there. But the Relate at its core, it's more of a consumer app, right? So it's really managing two different go-to-market motions, just user acquisition, CAC, like everything is a little different. But to me, like my background is in enterprise, and I establish like most of the like go-to-market like strategies and so forth. So I've done that for many years, and I have somebody helping me there, like on the main business. So whereas the consumer side of it is new to me, and it's actually exciting for me to learn. So I'm spending more time on Relate just to get it off the ground, and so finding myself spending more time on the Relate side versus Rely technology.
So let's get a little bit about, AI, ML architecture and tech stack, right? So obviously you came from I would say a network IT, more enterprise type background, right? But when you're building out this new entity, where you're saying AI native, right? Let's talk about the AI, ML architecture and tech stack a little bit. Are there any methodologies, frameworks, architecture platform tools? How are you kind of approaching this, right?
Yeah, so this is a good question, and this is where I really like would love if my CTO was with us today. He'll give it way more justice than I will do. So when we talk about AI native, like I said, for us is AI input and AI output, right? So we can talk about the tooling that we're using for our input, and then we can talk about what we are providing on the output side. But when like I said, software is not my background, and I come from more of a traditional enterprise IT world. But our platform is really like a next generation like platform app, which leverages like some of the newer technologies both on the front end, on the back end. So we're using React. If you're familiar with that, or your audience is familiar with that, so React is our front end, and then our back end sits on AWS with different services. So we're a pure AWS shop right now. While we do have Google Cloud as well, we have some entities running there, but our backend is what's called the Node.js backend, and then we underneath it leverage a lot of the AI models out there. So we have our stack is built on Gemini, Anthropic, and OpenAI, and then based on the use case that we have for our users, we really choose the model that best fits the use case, the cost, and the latency requirements for that use case. We do use some of the proprietary models too. We're not only using the traditional models, we have some proprietary models that we leverage for some image recognition, because we do a lot of like OCR and image recognition. So we have some specialized model there. So that will be from a from the app itself, when you look at the guts of the app, if you come and like look inside it, that's what it is, right? But like I said, how we are building the app is we're using some of the technologies like Cloud Code mainly as one of our main software developers that augments our human software developers.
Yeah, so I have my first live networking event plus live networking plus live podcast event coming at the end of the month, right? I've been trying to reach out to people to come out to this, and I realized I've attended quite a few networking events, and then I got so busy trying to do work. I have all this sitting here. I'm like, I never scan these. I'm like, I gotta go figure out, go into LinkedIn or my CRM or whatever. So how do you help me solve this?
Yeah, I call it the business card graveyard. We all
And this was
have to
me. This was
throw in.
me at like. This was me. I couldn't sleep last night for something. This was me at 2 a.m. looking at this. Like I have all this, But let's go. So help our users audience solve this thing where you're
All
not
right.
waking up in the middle
So
of the night with a
first
hot flash.
you gotta have this, right? So you have to be able to just like do this, and then you can literally spend, I don't know, for this stack it's probably 20. You can literally spend 20 seconds to get this into your CRM if you use Rel8. So what we are doing is really pretty neat. No one is doing that. A lot of the CRM apps, if you use HubSpot, Salesforce, and whatnot, they allow you to scan a business card, but they do that in a very rudimentary way. Like you do one by one, and then you have to correct the data, and then like add, enrich the
And
data and
you have
whatnot.
to line up the. I mean, if you scan, you gotta line it up just
Yeah,
like.
one at a time. So what we do is like you can just lay them on like a piece of table, and it doesn't matter how they are, upside down, like sideways, whatnot. You can snap one picture of as many you can fit in your phone, and then we just push those directly. You'll have them relate, and then with one push of button, you can sync them to your CRM. And not only that, I mean, OCR is a very fairly commoditized technology. But the unique piece about this is we crop them. It's like you take an image of 10 business cards. We will crop them, organize them. We will tag each one of them. We will research each contact of that business card stack, and then we will suggest to you a follow-up sequence for that. We don't stop at the contact ingestion, but we also give the user the ability to be top of mind with their users. So for your event coming up, like in the end of the month, you would have gotten a lot of touch points before inviting those users or those contacts to your event. So that's the ability. For us, we're not only solving the contact ingestion, which I believe we're doing the best ingestion in the industry right now. I challenge anyone to have an app with one picture, take 10, 15 cards at a time, and then 10 seconds later, it's on your CRM. Nobody's doing that today. But not only that, we do the action part. This is where I told you 2026 is going to be all about the agentic and action. We do the action part and we bring the users, hey, a series of follow-ups about whatever topic they want. Hey, you want to be in my podcast next week? This is why you should come to my live event because you'll get this and that. So we'll make it always user centric and easy to use out there. So Sanjay, trust me, next time I'll talk to you, you're not gonna have that stack laying on
Yeah,
your.
I'm going to be doing these events monthly, so let's find a way to partner. So, if you go back, you talking about OCR, optical character recognition, right? So that goes in, it takes a card in. I mean, I guess you're using probably for those that don't know what the React is, explain that, on a high level, right?
I will probably go outside my wheels here.
That's okay. I'm going to put a definition of it at the end of when the podcast airs
Yeah,
anyway. So.
so please don't hold me to that. But React, my understanding is React is like a framework of front end development that makes it easy for like apps to be built. So like we see nowadays a lot of easy AI app using tools like Lovable, Replit, and Base 44 and others. So those are mostly built in React app because it's a very rich framework and it has a lot of knowledge that's being shared. And all these AI models, they ingest that shared knowledge and they regurgitate it for the user. So React is one of the almost like the stack that's default. If you want a modern app, you default to that. Like I said, I don't, and this is the beauty here. Like, listen, I'm not a software developer. I don't know these things.
Well, that's also why you have a CTO.
Correct. And not only that, like I can use some tools now, like I said, some of the tools out there, and I can even write code right now. Sanjay, I've been writing code. I've been pushing production code. I have no idea what React is. You ask me what a function is. I have no. I don't want to know. Like I hate it. If you ask me, I hate it. But I'm able to push production grade code again because I have two things that's helping me. One is the tools are helping with that, but I have like a technical authority that makes sure we filter all the AI output before it gets to our production system.
So, when it recognizes, the OCR recognizes, or I guess you're not using your own AI or machine learning system. You're probably using your LLM to do the computer vision to parse out the information, or how's that happening?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we're using two things. So you can use an LLM, like people go to ChatGPT all the time, upload things and tell ChatGPT, hey, what's in my picture? ChatGPT or any chatbot that you use. And like LLM are pretty decent to give you the information. But when you start like putting like multiple business cards at a time, or different shapes of business card, or one of them is upside down and whatnot, when you start introducing like a busy environment, you put it like in a table with a lot of paperwork and whatnot, then those LLM tends to struggle a little bit. So what we're doing is we're using a specialized what's called the computer vision model that only analyzes the picture and then removes all the noise from the picture, and then gives us the coordinates of each of the business card and picture, and then we slice it and dice it. Then we do traditional OCR. OCR, think of it as a printer. It's very dumb. It just tells you this is the correct character that I found on this business card. And that's when we use an LLM. So we use an LLM for the reasoning and then for the intelligence part of it. So we feed the LLM all the output from our proprietary model, and then we get that really 360 degrees view on each of the contacts there.
Yeah, no, especially you get a card and it has like flowers and pictures and purple and red and whatever. That's a noise that doesn't really contain, it may be aesthetic in a sense, but it's not the information that you need. So you need to be able to do that, be able to parse that information out, right?
Correct. And then we don't, I mean, business cards is just one use case. We can do badges. Like if you're at a conference, people take pictures of badges, tags, name tags. You can take a picture of a LinkedIn profile. So anything that's visually has a contact information, we can ingest it. You can even give us like a URL of any public link out there that has, like a conference with public speakers. You just give us the URL, and then we go and then we get all those contacts from there. Or you can integrate your LinkedIn, you can import from Google Contacts. So we don't want to create a contact platform. There's so many out there, but we want to make sure we have a relationship intelligence platform where you can bring contacts from wherever you can bring them. Our value proposition is to give you intelligence on them. So they're not dead entries in your database. They're people where you maintain a continuous relationship with.
Yeah, and most people are not using business cards these days. So either
Correct.
it's, a QR code, their LinkedIn QR code, some other piece of information. So you're able to integrate that into their LinkedIn connections, or say they may give you a Facebook, they may give me a website. You don't know what it's going to be. Is there, instead of having to carry all that stuff and figure out, okay, put in your pocket and it falls out and, you get hamburger juice on it or whatever, is there a way to smooth that out, right?
Correct. I mean, our ethos is that I did sales for many years, and I hated when like my boss will call me and he'll say, "Hey, where's the update on the CRM? Where are we with this contact? We just came back from a big conference in Vegas. The first thing that my leadership team used to ask is, how's the event?" Which is really a code word for, is it worth the investment? Should we go back next year or not? So we had all these investment.
Yeah, and did you actually meet anybody versus sitting at the bar, right?
Correct. So a lot of these marketing teams and event teams of companies, they don't have a visibility on the ROI. Like it's really late. They spend all this money, but they don't know what their sales team performance on the floor was. So this is where our approach is. I hated doing input. I hated going to a tool and adding stuff manually. So that's why we want to be a very, very seamless capture platform where, to your point, you give us a business card, snap it. You give us a QR code, snap it. You give us like whatever, like a LinkedIn profile, we take it. Anything, any contact medium exchange, we get you on the platform because we know that's not where the value lies. If you think about it, the context exchange is what, like 10 seconds off a conversation. That's all what it is, right? But what the value lies is after that 2 hours after the event, on your way back home, whether you're traveling or you're going back home from an event, that's where you remember 90% of the conversation about that person. You know what? That's where we give our users a AI voice agent where they can talk to like they talk to a colleague, and they will just talk about their night, who they talked with, what they talked about, like having like having an assistant or a chief of staff that's traveling with you, and then you tell them how the night was. And that's where the value is, because if you don't do that, a day after, your memory decays 80%, and then 2 days after, it's even more. You know what, like we all busy people, we go back home and then we don't, like we either have stuff to do, we get sick, we don't have time to follow up. And if you miss that 48-hour window to follow up with somebody, it's really hard for them to remember you. So contact capture is really just a tool, but when you think about it as a journey, that's where the value lies.
Yeah, I'll be honest. When I look at this pile, I'm like, okay, which event did I meet this person at? What did they look like, right? But what you said, the value is not just the contact information. Now you got to aggregate that information, enrich it in some way, so that way you can do your put into your CRM, with your customer relationship management. You really manage your contacts and your messaging. So, and then how do you tailor that messaging to do some outreach and follow up, right? And that's the important part. Ingesting the information is not the. It's important. I mean, that's the bottleneck. That's a long pole in the tent. But if you do nothing with it, and so how do you? The last question this area is, how do you enable that in terms of the enrichment and making sure the right information does for the follow up, right?
100%. So I like, again, we are in the business of ROI. We want to give you a return on the investment. And if you think about it, what is your investment when you go to an event? Your investment is your time to go there, the preparation time that you spend there, the money that you spend traveling. I mean, if you have to go like in a conference in Vegas for 3 days in a flight, so there's a big investment, especially for companies and sales reps and business development people. So, and what is the return on that? The return on that is really twofold: the relationship, because you're building your social capital. But two, if you have a business, you position product, you have some sort of engagement metric or KPI that you track. We want to enable you to do that. That's the idea, right? So when we look at this problem set, and this is a category called in-person go-to-market. It's a very niche category within the go-to-market overall category. So in person. So when you think about it, there are two things. When we ingest the contact, we all use the data providers. There's so many data providers out there, like Apollo, People Data Lab, Hunter.io. There's so many that. And all the CRMs use that, and all these companies use that, and we do use that too. So we have feeds into their data pipeline, and then we enrich the contact. Like you will find all the public information, but that's not where the differentiation is. The differentiation for us is in that real-time in-person interaction and that context that you put when you talk to the AI assistant and you say, I talked to Abdel about his like Stockholm like journey. That information is unique to you and Rel8, and nobody out there has that information. So when you reach out to Abdel a week after, 48 hours after, and you talk about something that's unique, then you're standing out of the crowd. Sanjay, let me ask you, do you want to see another AI cold email in your inbox? Yeah, I get a ton of those. I get a ton of phone calls from AI.
And I'll be honest, I tested out some people, and I had some sent out, and they said, well, we'll make it authentic. It's not authentic, and I finally had to just stop it because I want to be authentic, right? And you want to do some things in the right way, but at some point, I think it'll damage you in a sense if you're not doing it the right way.
That's exactly right, and that's our thesis. Our thesis is that digital marketing digital relationship is getting so like commoditized and so generic now that it's really losing a lot of value. It was, I mean, open rates on emails were already low, but now with AI slot, people are just using the technology to for volume, for quantity, and not using for quality. That's why for us, we believe that people will continue to go more to events, continue to crave real relationships and real interactions. And what we're doing is just helping them capture that context. And then we're automating the stuff that they shouldn't be worrying about. Like we want our users to deal with the strategic level, the decision making level, not remembering what I talked to. Like our memories have like we're humans. We are not built to retain a lot of information. So if you upload that to us, we are your helper to essentially stay in touch, top of mind for your relationship. So that's where our differentiation lies.
No, I think that's very important. Let's shift gears a little bit. What about the AI space podcast resonate with you and say, hey, I want to be a guest on the show?
Well, I mean, so many things, Sanjay. Like I told you, I don't know if you remember, but you and I met like a year ago at one of the Dallas local events here, and you were minding your business, and I kind of assaulted you like in the middle of that event. I'm like, I know you, like you're the podcast, for the local podcast guy, and like, yeah, you were like, hey, like, what's going on? Who is this dude? And I was like, hey, I love your show for a reason because I really think, and the reason why I'm here, because I think you're approaching the AI topic from a very wide lens, which nowadays you can see a lot of content out there, a lot of AI expert this, a lot of expert that. But what you're doing is you're approaching the topic from both the strategic level, the operational level, the technology level, the societal level, and you're bringing your guests are multicultural, multi-dimensional, diverse guests, which to me, that's the sort of content I like to enjoy. And then, you know what, like I'm going to pick up my kids. I'll have you on my car, and yeah, I'm very fortunate to be in the show. So thanks for the invitation.
No, I would truly appreciate that. Oh, that was amazing. We were at this. It was a Dallas meetup. Like I had just started the podcast, right? And it was like this was one of the large, like it's like 1,000 people at the event. And I'm walking by, and I had just started posting on LinkedIn. I was like, nobody's liking. I'm getting maybe one or two likes. No one's engaging. I'm thinking, okay, is this even working? But I stayed consistent, right? And then out of the blue, you just, hey, I know you, and you're like, where do I know you from? I said, we tried different things, like nothing. Then I said, I recently launched a podcast, and so it talks about the power of consistency moving into sales and marketing. So, but then we've met a couple times at some events since then. I've enjoyed talking to you, and I'm glad you were able to come on here and share your experience. So, thank you for the opportunity. It's already been an amazing conversation. So, before we continue, I want to invite everyone to follow Abdel. So where's the best place for folks to connect with you, learn more about you?
Yeah, LinkedIn. I'm a little bit active on LinkedIn. So yeah, hit me up. Either connect with me or send me a DM. Happy to help out. We've been, like I said, if some of your audience are people who are thinking about founding their own startup, building their own idea, we have learned throughout the past 18 months, and I'm happy to help anyone who reaches out.
Right, and then the website, we'll put it up, is Rel8 AI.
Correct. So the platform right now, it's closed to like a limited number of users. So we are still in our beta phase right now. So it's not open for everybody. If anyone is interested to learn more, they can either sign up directly or they can reach out to me, and then I'll be happy to get them the information they need.
Well, everybody definitely like, comment, subscribe to the AI Space podcast. That helps us grow the show and have more innovative guests like Abdel. And then if you're kind of stuck in your business and you want to figure out how do I best move forward, feel free to schedule a 15-minute free meeting with me. Going back to this, we not only talk about technology, I think one of the most critical things we got to think about is vision, mindset, and strategy. What do you say are the critical insights for long-term success?
Well, I mean, you know what? This is hard to predict. To me, it's whenever we have ambiguity, we have a lot of unknowns. That's where I try to dig down in my values and my principles. I think that's been our guiding post with me and my team. And you know what? For us, it's very simple. Like you do honest work, you be consistent at it, and you're really make impact change in your around you. You start with your team and your clients and your prospects and so forth, and you go from there. To me, if our culture is clear to our team and we can project that to our customers and our partners, then we attract the people that think like us, that want to work with us. And you know what? The trust becomes easier and faster. And then if you have trust, you can really move fast. And everybody talks about speed, speed, speed. For us, trust is a proxy for speed.
I think that those are very important insights. And it's important to have vision, mindset, strategy, articulate your culture, and all that stuff. And you talk about consistency, which leads us into it's all great to have all those things, but if you don't have the actions to back it up, you're not going to be able to build that trust. So, what do you see in terms of the actions necessary to build that trust, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's really like you do what you say you will do. So there's a little bit of integrity there. You take care of your clients, your customer. They're trusting you with not only their time, but their money, their like maybe relationships. Especially when you operate in the like in this space of relationship management, we deal with user data, so we make sure it's really protected. And then it's privacy is a big part of what we do. So really, for us, it's the ability to not only have the founding team portray those values, but everybody who comes to our team as part of our interview process or even as part of our prospecting and new client relationships, we try to make sure we have that alignment in terms of values and culture. So very, very simple for us. It's really worked towards our advantage. Where sometimes early on in the sales process, when we are executing our sales process, we sometimes see some red flags, either internally or externally, and it helps us to really pivot and do some remediation actions on it going forward. So it's really, I would say, easier because we're a smaller team. But as we continue to grow, that's going to continue to be top of mind for me, is to preserve a culture that just rallies around the same value and principles that we strive for.
I agree. I agree with the thing. My biggest frustration is when I deal with other vendors is when they overpromise, hype it, and underdeliver. When they promise 10x and give you 10x less, But from a sales and marketing perspective, what insights can you share about maybe getting your first clients, expanding your clientele? How you're approaching that?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is where going back to like the organizational structure that we have. So we have Rely Technology, which is more of a B2B, and then we have Rel8 AI, which is like a consumer AI app. And go to market for those two can be completely different, like it's day and night, right? So, I mean, I can talk about both here very briefly and happy to expand in any.
Yeah, I would just say on the Rel8 AI side, I know you're in the initial stages, but kind of how are you approaching that?
Yeah, for us right now, it's really about growth. So growth and user acquisition, really finding who's our ideal client for
Yeah,
Relate.
you talked earlier about PMF, product market fit, right? So
Correct.
I guess really diving deep and dive into that, right?
Yeah, so we are really in that phase right now. We are in the validation of our product market fit, which I really believe with all the changes in tooling and in technology, I don't think that's one and done. I think that's going to be a continuous work for us to continue to try every 3 months find our PMF. And everybody has a different definitions for PMF, but for me, a PMF is when you get some pull from your product. What does that mean? When you don't have to actively go and then sell and push your product either through performance marketing or social media or whatever, but your product pulls the user to it, right? When it's really solving a real pain and giving the value back to the user to the point where they can find you and they can pay for your service and they can really use it without you pushing anything on them. That's where I believe we can say we reached our PMF. So right now we are on the beta phase where we have, like I said, a close group of users that are giving us feedback and they get a lifetime access to the platform. And essentially, we are getting a really, really great feedback. A lot of people can't believe this doesn't exist at the market. And I think for us, we have a deep market validation that we're solving a real problem, and then we're doing it in the right way, which is really good, important things to figure out as I'm learning, because you can find all sort of problems. I mean, of course, the world have all sort of problems, but you may not be solving it the most economical way or the right way for the users and so forth. So to us, it's really product-led growth. Our engine is the product, and we don't have any sales team. It's really founder-led and like founding team-led to acquire new subscribers.
Yeah, I think in terms of the product market fit, I think what you said is very important. We sometimes think of it as a monolithic experience. Like I created, it's one and done. But I've noticed even for my podcast, right, I knew who my ICP was, which is founders, innovators, technologists that are looking to grow and scale, et cetera, right? And then I have secondaries and other stuff. But I've had to tweak my messaging a little bit because it's not, when you first start, as you grow, you're going to have a wider base, and you have to tweak it's a relationship at the end of the day, and it's about communication. So you have to tweak that messaging in a way, because they're going to give you feedback. It's like, oh, okay, maybe I should message it this way, or alter it this way to make it to resonate more with them, right? And I think that's an important insight that can come out of that.
It is a loop, yeah. It's not a once and done. This is a product market fit is not an event. It's not like you wake up a day and you're like, oh, I got it. Well, maybe if you wake up and you find like 10,000 users downloaded your app, maybe that's a signal. But
yeah, but then when you get to 10,000, it's a different base, right?
correct, and then you need to scale beyond that. But for me, it's a continuous loop that you need to run. And you know what? If you believe you found product market fit and you say, I'm done, then 3 months after that, somebody will leapfrog you and will have even better technology and value proposition than you. So I think for us, having the mindset that we're always trying to find our PMF helps us continue to be innovative and continue to be fast.
Yeah, I know you're not there yet, but I think this is an important question. What insights do you have to streamline operations and scale business? And the angle I want you to come at, you're starting with AI native, right? So I think you have an advantage. At some point you're going to get your first clients and other stuff, and you talk about being leaner and stuff. What do you foresee? Maybe it's a year from now, it's 2 years from now, but even it's going to be when you get your first clients. How are you going to start streamlining? And because you can't make everything 100% custom, right? How do you streamline and scale that, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And funny enough, we are already doing some of that right now, and then it's amazing. That's why I call us AI native, because we're not gonna do it when it's ready. We're doing it now, so we learn, and then when the technology gets better, we are ready to take advantage of it. So how I think about it right now, I mean, Sanjay, you know this. Corporate strategy is what? Is product strategy and go-to-market strategy. That's it. Like you build something, you give it, or you put it on the hands of the users, and that's as simple as that. So for us, when we think about like the traditional way of building, like people will hire software teams and agencies, and like you spend a lot of investment into building a product, that's all gone now. Like that's not like our building process is really AI supported. Like we have AI building our code, building our product. The only thing that we have is the humans becoming not the doers, but the humans becoming the supervisors. I like every software development in my team on the interview, they have to know how to use AI. Not only know how to use it, but they have to use it. Our mandate is our software engineers, and we only get senior ones. We don't have anyone junior in our team. We have senior engineers, but their job is to manage AIs that build code. So essentially streamlining all the input process into repeatable, high kind of like velocity machine to just churn out features, fix bugs. So our turnaround, our feature like turnaround is very, very fast. So that's on the product side. Now on the go-to-market side, how do we go out and like just drive adoption and awareness on our product? Here, there's so many tools out there. I don't think we found like a jack of all trades. I think there's some maturity that comes in the market. We tried some of the like the AI SDR platforms out there, and I'm happy to share like my back there, but they're not there yet. So we categorize those in two things. We categorize them in one, which is the high value clients or high value prospects that you have. And for those, we use our own dog food, like we use Rel8 for that. So we have those as part of our go to market. They're tracked in our database for our product, and we are the first consumers of our product. So that's one. The second, which is the mass market and so forth. Right now, we're using some of the traditional CRMs out there. We have like automated drip campaigns and whatnot, but it's still a little bit. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done there to operate like make it still. It's automated, but it's not at the level where I want it to be. So that's why it's either Rel8. We'll take some of that going forward if we decide to take it there, or we're gonna continue to look for some newer product in that category to try and see if they will work for us.
So, just briefly, what were some of the SDR platforms? You don't have to explain them, but which one of the ones that are in the market, currently?
Yeah, I mean the ones we played with was a company called Artisan AI. So that's we had some early discussions with them, and then just went through some demos with them. We haven't necessarily adopted them and whatnot. And then the other one was just HubSpot gives you like an AI extension and so forth. So I tried some of that, and it was not
And because HubSpot comes from more of the CRM side of things, right?
correct. So that's
Yeah.
where we tried, and then we're always at the lookout for innovation in that space. If there's anyone who's listening from on your podcast that has some suggestion and can put them in the comments, I think that we'll be looking forward.
Yeah, and if you're watching this and it's like this may be an idea for somebody to start up too, right? So, in terms of democratization, we talked about it a little bit earlier. What do you see as the key opportunities and challenges making AI accessible to founders and businesses from a variety of industries and experiences, backgrounds? How can we bridge this gap?
So, I mean, I really believe AI as a technology is a equalizer. Just levels the playing field w- for access to expertise. Really, it's really access to expertise. We used to spend a lot of time trying to find expertise and pay a lot of money for that, but now expertise has become more accessible. It doesn't mean that it's reliable. So I would always suggest that you have yourself surrounded with experts in specific domains. But as a technology, it's like I told you, like I have zero background in software. I've never written a line of code in software. And then with AI, I can be a software developer if I want to. Like it's just crazy how I can do so much. It's a force multiplier that really allows people to do more and really opens the space for so much innovation. I'm so excited about what people's ideas will be transformed into product. I want to see the next generations of product, Sanjay. I don't want to see like a old Salesforce and all those staple products that we've seen in the last 20 years. I want to see some refreshing products, and I'm excited about that. Now, I mean, if you think about it from a just a societal and geopolitical perspective, then I don't know if access to AI is ubiquitous. I think this technology may be reaching and maybe ubiquitous for some of the advanced economies in the world. But like we talked, like I come from Morocco, people have access to AI there, but I
I
don't.
think also because a lot of people are building centers out in Morocco too, right?
Correct. So it's a big hub for like especially the West African kind of digital distribution there. But when you think about it, it's really looking for democratizing this technology even in some of the underserved areas, and allowing some of the people there to really use that, because you know what, like there's a lot of talent that's untapped in so many pockets of the world, and with a technology like this, it's really giving those people an opportunity to change their situation, change their future, change their communities. And I believe this technology is able to allow for that.
Yeah, I think those are things we got to sort out, and I think it requires a certain amount of curiosity, right? I brought this on a few episodes. I'm going to be 53 this year. When I turned 50, I said I saw the future. I said AI is coming down the pike. I don't want to be in this corporate cycle anymore. So I started learning and stuff like that. I started this podcast, and my knowledge is accelerated talking to amazing people like you. But the other thing too is AI's unlocked this other side of me in terms of creativity by using the LLMs, right? I have my own custom GPT CMO for my company, right? So I'm testing different concepts and ideas. I'm, producing content. I'm using the creative artist tools like Night Cafe to produce AI art for even sometimes for my episodes and animations, right? Working on, looking at AI agents and other things that I'm working on. So, it's pretty cool. The only thing, what I'm finding out too is that in the past, I think a lot of people have seen this, that you would leverage interns or junior level people or low cost providers, say in the Philippines or India, would do some outsourcing. But you're realizing on some of this stuff, it really requires some domain expertise. And this stuff's garbage in, garbage out. You just said earlier, you're looking for senior folks because they have domain expertise. You don't have time to. You want people with the attitude and the aptitude, right? And you don't have time to go babysit folks, right? And so I think it's going to cause a challenge too. Like, the people that don't have that attitude after, that's one thing, but where do the young generation actually get domain expertise to get the jobs in the future, right?
Yeah, no, I mean this is one of those questions about the impact of AI on labor in general, like on the workforce, like what's the future of work look like? And unfortunately, like some of the stats right now that I've been watching are showing that the junior like level, like college grad or just early in career are the ones that are unfortunately getting more impacted with the AI technology right now, because for the same reasons a lot of those like easier or entry jobs, a lot of them can be automated with the technology. But this is where I think this is an opportunity for all the people, college grads, because these folks are very resourceful, and then when they go out of school they have very very up-to-date knowledge where they can be able to apply it to other areas, either to build their own like startups and ideas. They have access to that, but also they can use some hard technical knowledge, let's say like a computer science graduate or whatever. They can spend some time and then just learn the new technology, and then learn how to be differentiated in the market space, because if in the marketplace, because if you're showing up like say CS major, now you're showing us as, okay, I can be a developer for you, hire me and relate. The first question will be for me is like, what kind of AI tools do you know? And if your answer is none, or I only know legacy stuff that I learned from school, then that's going to be a no-go for us. But if you come to me and you say, you know what, you can give me 10 AI agents and I'm going to be managing them for you. I'm going to make sure the output is correct. They know what they need to do. I'm going to act as the manager for that. And you show me, maybe you did it in some internship or you did it in some project, a cornerstone project. That's, yeah, for me, that's really good. Like that shows me that you're not only can just understand software, but you have also adaptability skills. You can also like change, like have some leadership and management and supervision skills. So that's important for us. And the other thing is to tackle the bigger question about the labor market and the workforce displacement and whatnot. To me, I'm a big believer that there will be displacement. That's for sure. I mean, let's just call it what it is. But in some parts of the on the market. But what I'm seeing, and we all have seen that throughout history, is that there will be new categories of work, new jobs that we have no idea about, but that will be there that to replace that. A lot of folks will be displaced, but whoever has curiosity and learning, and then there's a lot of companies that help train, retrain people, reskill people. I think they will take advantage of these new tools, and knowing how to use them will work on their advantage. I was talking to somebody last time. They were telling me, I mean, like I don't know, like in the olden times, like people when they lived in tribes and didn't have lights, they had somebody with a torch, like with a fire, who would go through every room and it will turn on the fire for every room. And this is like before electricity, and the electricity comes, and then that job is gone. And you can argue about like horse cars and how people transport, like the transportation. And when the car steam engine came, that's gone, right? But listen, we didn't have like a YouTube content creator. We did not have a like a prompt engineer before. So there will be newer skills, and this is where I wish our education system can really kind of like just keep up and then transform from an information given system to more of a creativity, and then just be more hands-on system where people can thrive. So they're when they're out of college, they're not looking for a job, but they also have their own thing. So it's a long-winded way to say this is coming, but there's always going to be new job creation that comes with it.
Yeah, when we moved from horses to cars, there used to be people that actually had to go clean up after the horses. Luckily those jobs are gone. But it's important what you just summarize is like we want to. There are good things with AI, but we want to raise the awareness. There are risks. Be aware. Figure out what your skills are. Find what you're good at, and adapt. Right. So that leads us into ethical and responsible AI. How do we balance AI innovation with ethical and responsible development, or can we?
Yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question, Sanjay, right there, right? Because all these LLMs and these models, they're black boxes. They're trained on the internet knowledge, and all these AI model companies or AI labs, they kind of like just do reinforcement learning on whatever they want to specialize on, right? So um, I, I've just heard recently some of the news coming out of Grok, for example, and how some child kind of pictures have been misused and so forth. So that's a really a unfortunate place that we find ourselves at as a society. But I wouldn't say it's because of AI. I would say technology is technology, and
It's a
it's
reflection on who's training it, right?
correct. Who's training it? How do you want to use it? But I think those big companies, they hold some of the onus to make sure they have guardrails that are implemented as part of the training processes and the post-training processes that they have. I think some education is warranted too. Like you don't give a car to like a teenager for a reason, right? So we figured out as society that we need to implement some safeguards to protect the most vulnerable, because the AI does not impact somebody who's aware or who has experience. It just impacts differently the most vulnerable ones, right? And a lot of our seniors in our community, a lot of kids in our community, a lot of our immigrants in our community, they may not get the information, the right information at the right time. So that's where we as community leaders, and we need to continue to drive what you're doing here, educating people in the community on what's the safest way to use these technologies. Because definitely this is, if you put this in some bad actor's hand, unfortunately, people will use it to the fullest of their advantage.
Yeah, no, I think those are very important insights. And then also, I would also make sure everyone challenge their LLMs and what's actually being produced. I've noticed, especially recently, they'll make claims. It has dubious sources, like just simple stuff, right? I mean, it's like quoting Wikipedia. It's like, okay, I like if I'm asking a question about religion or cultural stuff, I'm doing research on my cultural background, and it'll have biased sources. And I said, no, well, give me the primary text, not Wikipedia, or the scriptures that are being used or whatever. And then it'll say something. It's like, that doesn't even make sense. Show me the actual text where it says that. And they said, oh, sorry, we just made that up. So, and then, I know with your company, you're going to try to balance. And the other thing too is, yeah, we talked about diversity on here. And I'm not doing diversity for diversity's sake. I just want to have the coolest people, the coolest voices. They're doing awesome stuff. And if they happen to be from South Africa, Thailand, which I've had, Canada, France, obviously you're from Dallas, but, from Marrakesh, Morocco, whatever, so be it. But I think that's what's unique about the show is that people are willing to come on, and you have women come on here and share their insights, and those are things we want to celebrate in a good way because they're actually doing cool stuff.
Agreed. I mean, this is what a community is, Sanjay. Is that hodgepodge are different perspectives, and then being in an environment where you hear different perspective than yours, and you learn from it. It's unfortunately we see a lot of division out there, and what you're trying to do is really a unifying factor for the community, which aligns with our values. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah, no, thank you. And then, I guess we get to, final thoughts and encouragement. There's maybe some folks that are struggling in their business. Being an entrepreneur is not it's not hard, right? You don't want to wish it upon your worst enemy sometimes, right? But then also people are like, hey, I'm really scared about this thing, or I'm excited about this thing. I don't know how to get started, right? So what's your insights, maybe final thoughts of encouragement, right?
Well, I mean, I'm a living instance of that. Whatever I will tell you, your audience is something that I lived and I kept hammering that and on, is with what we have today, you can do wonders. And I don't want to sound cheesy or anything, but you can either choose two things. You can choose the passive way of doing things, which is like I go and I just learn, and procrastinate. Or you can put yourself in a situation that you have to use and learn the technology by taking one of your ideas. Take one weekend, just one weekend, and you say, okay, one weekend, I'm going to work on this idea. I have this problem for many days, many years, and I want to just get it sorted out. Just get your hands on it, and you will be amazed what you can do with it. I believe every one of us has amazing ideas, and sometimes we need that little nudge to get started. So what I'm telling your folks is that you can do it. There's ways on not only the technology, but there's also the community. I'm happy to help any way I can, where you can drive and follow your dream. Of course, if you enjoy like a 9 to 5, please go at it, have fun with it. But if you're thinking, okay, well, I'm ready for something different, you can do that today. So I think the playing level field has been really lowered, and the entry point is low right now. But it takes curiosity, and it takes grit and perseverance to reach to a level where you can really have a lifestyle around that.
Yeah, I think whether you're in a 9 to 5 or you've been recently displaced, lost a job, whatever, right? And you're like, I think that's great advice. Take a weekend, take some time, go figure this out. And you're like, I don't know how to start. Go into your LLM and put your topic in and give me a 10-step outline, and just start with that 10-step outline. And if you're stuck there, say, okay, explain to me step number one. And now there's tools that they'll auto code stuff for you, so you can go play with stuff. It's not going to be perfect, but I think that's great advice. Well, Abdel, I could definitely talk to you all day about the future of the AI space, and we've been talking quite a bit, but we're coming out of time for our listeners. Where's the best place for them to learn more about you and connect with you? Once again.
Yeah, no, I mean, thanks. I had a blast with you, Sanjay. Like, I mean, this is, you can tell I'm passionate about this. And, when I found somebody intellectually curious like yourself, like it just makes the conversation really nice. So I hope your audience enjoy the conversation. Yeah, people can find me on LinkedIn. I'm there. Just hit me up, connect with me, DM with me. I'm fairly active on LinkedIn. And listen, if you're in the Dallas area or come to Dallas, come and find me and Sanjay, and we can hang out too. So thanks for the time.
Yeah, come to the events. We're also part of, Dan Sinowat was on a previous episode. We're part of VC Arena, building that community, right? So, all right, everyone, fantastic. Make sure to check out and connect with Abdel. Don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify or Apple. Once again, Abdel, I've learned so much from this episode. Thanks for sharing your wonderful journey and insights with us today and your positivity. I'm Sanjay Kalluvilayil, creator and host for the show, also founder and CEO of Sohas Advisors. I hope you gained a wealth of game-changing, real-world insights to grow, transform, and scale to new levels and dimensions leveraging AI. See you all next time. Thanks so much.